Welcome back. I'm now joined by my feisty panel with Liberal Senator Holly Hughes. They're always feisty on a Tuesday. They fight, so brace yourselves. I've got former Speaker of the House, Bronwyn Bishop, and Melbourne Deputy Lord Mayor and my favourite male feminist, Nicholas Reece. Gang, let's start with this interesting story from our own James Morrow. He wrote in the Daily Telegraph about Channel 9's decision to delete Julie Bishop's comments about Ukraine. This comes after a backlash from the Twitter mob after her commentary on Today. Let's have a look.
Ukraine, President Zelensky believes that Ukraine is a separate, sovereign, independent state that can make its own decisions about military and economic engagement. The real tragedy for Ukraine is that this is actually a conflict between two political leaders, and it means that the people of both nations will suffer and bear a terrible cost.
Now, the Daily Telegraph reported that Nine has bowed to the criticism of Twitter trolls who attacked Julie Bishop for her comments on the Today Show, deleting a tweet that seemed to show the former Foreign Minister downplaying the fight as nothing more than a conflict between two political leaders. Nick, I'll start with you. Is it a worry that a TV network is making decisions based on the Twitter mob? And what was your take on what Julie Bishop said there?
Well, Julie Bishop has clearly misspoken with what she said there on that program, and for a foreign minister, that's clearly a big misspeak. Ukraine does not believe it is a sovereign nation. It is a sovereign nation, and this is more than just a conflict between two personalities, Putin and Zelensky. It's an aggressive act of war on behalf of Putin, and it's an act of war crime. So yes, she got that badly wrong. Did Channel 9 do the right thing in taking it down? Well, given it was such a misreporting of the truth, I don't have an issue with them bringing it down. I hope they didn't do it because of their response to the Twitter mob. I hope they did it because what Julie Bishop said was wrong.
Bronwyn, I don't agree with what Julie Bishop said, but that's her opinion, and she is someone who's served as a foreign affairs minister. Surely she's entitled to her opinion, even if we don't agree with it. That's not disinformation, is it?
Well, I think it's important to say that that Ukraine is certainly an independent and democratic nation, and I've pointed out for a long time that socialism is brutal and cruel. And Putin is a socialist, he's a communist, and he has no care about other individuals. He is a lust for power, and he is prepared to exercise the most ghastly power. And I do think that the comments that were made by Julie Bishop were somewhat strange when the whole world is experiencing something it's never done before, and come together, even Switzerland giving up its neutrality, to condemn what Putin has done. I do find her comments really distinctly odd. I mean, she is wrong. But it should not be censored. It should not be censored. She said it, it should still be there. And I find this idea of selective censorship by, be it Meta or be it any of the social media outlets, but now free-to-air television doing it as well, I find that gives me some disquiet.
Absolutely. I mean, if they're her opinions, then, she's held accountable for them. They should be there on the public record so we know where she's coming from. Now, Australia is trying to follow the Ukraine invasion on social media, being bombarded with misleading content. The Sydney Morning Herald reports that in one example, a video that purported to show the Ukrainian Air Force shooting down a Russian fighter jet was revealed to actually be footage from a video game, Digital Combat Simulator. Footage of explosions depicted as from the current conflict were actually from conflicts long ago in other countries. And a widely shared image of two small children saluting Ukrainian armoured vehicles that some captions suggest are off to fight the invasion. Well, that actually has been circulating since 2016. Holly, does social media make it easier or harder to spot fake news and call it out?
Well, I think we all know it certainly makes it easier to spread fake news. And this weird desire that people seem to have where they want to claim that they now have access to some sort of iconic image, where they feel the need to Photoshop something or reuse an image. I have no doubt that journalists and reporters on the ground in the Ukraine have enough images of the horrifying events that are occurring, that there is no need for this sort of behaviour to occur. But social media, you know, it's not exactly the bastion of truth. It's about people's clickbait, where they can get the most attention, retweets, etc., etc. It's not about reporting the truth so often. And for anyone that only gets their news from social media, I think you really need to probably expand your world up a little bit.
Well, I think one of the good things with social media is things are corrected very quickly, and we've all fallen for things where we thought, oh, this is an amazing bit of footage from somewhere, and then you very quickly no, that's not what is being presented. So I think in a way it can help to spread fake stories, but it can also correct them very, very quickly. Now, I want to bring to your attention.
We saw that with Kevin Rudd this week.
Exactly, Kevin Rudd. I mean, that was Piers Morgan. That's it. He was trending. People were very angry, and weirdly, a lot of those tweets are still up. I mean, if you make a mistake, everyone makes mistakes. You would typically delete the tweet, but no, these are all still up. Now, Qantas, you think Qantas and its staff would have big issues to worry about, particularly after the past 2 years. But it seems some staff through their union have written to Qantas boss Alan Joyce, calling for him to make changes to the airline's uniform policy, such as easing requirements for women to wear makeup and allowing staff to display their pronouns on their name tags. The Australian Services Union argues that Qantas is a major partner of Sydney Mardi Gras, and you personally have a role as a champion of change. This is to Alan Joyce. We think it's time the uniform requirements Qantas has of its employees reflect those commitments. Bronwyn, I'm interested in your thoughts.
Well, basically, I mean, we know that people who are flight attendants who might start off the day in high heels, take them off and they get into flats when they're in the air, and that's sensible from health and safety issues as well, because we don't want people to be tripping when they're in charge of an aircraft. But it does seem to me, this pronoun stuff seems to me very peculiar, because where would you put it? I mean, you have your name. You don't speak
have massive
to somebody
name tags.
You don't speak to someone in the third person. You speak in the first person. So they have their name on the tag. And if you're writing up a memorandum and you're talking about someone in the third person, you usually talk about their name. So I don't know where this pronoun on your badge would go, or what it was meant to mean. So I think
it's all about virtue signalling, Bronwyn. It's not about being practical. Nothing with this pronoun business is practical.
We are in a most dangerous time right now of World War III. We've got an alliance between Putin and Xi. We've got an invasion of a democratic country, which is fighting for its very existence. We've got such things to worry about, rather than this rather minutiae about what somebody's going to wear in an aircraft as an employee. Employers are entitled to have set standards, but I just find that it's just too simplistic to put this up as something that is important to discuss at a time when so much else is at stake. We're sounding a bit like that John Kerry who was saying, I hope people don't get their mind off climate change just because there's a war on. I mean, for heaven's sake, where do these people come from?
Well, no, when you've got a barrow to push, things like World War III aren't going to get in the way. So if your interest area is trans activism, you're not going to stop just because Ukraine is being invaded by the Russians. Now, I've got some good news tonight. The Dan Andrews government
hang on a
has...
second here.
Okay,
well, no, we've got to move on to Dan. Okay. Nick, what do you want to say about pronouns? I know you're passionate.
Thank you.
Do your emails have
Rita.
pronouns
I mean, you
at the
can't
end?
introduce me as a... You can't introduce me as a proud feminist and then not let me say a thing or two about this topic now, can you? So,
go for
look,
it.
I
Go
think
for
that,
it.
Go for it.
I think if I'm sure some of you would like to see hostesses back in miniskirts and beehive hairdos, but the world has changed, and I do think that
Flight attendants,
if
Nicholas.
hostesses
Flight attendants.
don't want to wear makeup or stockings or high heels, that's perfectly fine with me, and I think it'd be perfectly fine with most Australians. As for the pronouns, this is a big thing for some people, and I think you should be more inclusive and more respectful of their wishes. If somebody wants to be able to identify their pronoun and they feel really strongly about it, I don't mind. That's up to them. I don't think we should be having laws against it. I don't think there should be workplace policies against it. Let them be who they want to be, okay?
Well, they can be who they want to be, Nicholas, but
I don't speak to you in the third person. I speak to you in the first person.
And it's not about them being who they want to be. It's about the rest of us going along with it. So soon, if you don't have your pronouns... Oh, we lost Holly. Something's happened there.
Sorry.
So if you don't have your pronouns listed,
it's this pronouns debate.
You are considered to be anti-trans. I tell you, I think we've completely gone off the rails with these pronouns business. Just quickly, I want to get your opinion, Nicholas, about this backflip the Dan Andrews government has done today on dumping its controversial and destructive housing tax. The move comes after the property sector argued the policy would add an average of $20,000 to the cost of a newly built home. Nicholas?
Look, I do think it was a missed opportunity, Rita. I mean, Victoria does have the longest social housing waiting lists in the country. That dates back to the Kennett era when Jeff Kennett slashed spending or investment in social housing, and we've never been able to recover. And so this was an important measure to try and fix that wrong. I really hoped that the property industry and the Victorian government could have kept working at it, but unfortunately negotiations broke down. But yeah, I would have thought there was a compromise in there which could have helped deliver much needed more social housing for Victoria.
So help me, Nicholas. The job of the government, and Labor's been in office for one hell of a long time, and they have not been able to balance the budget nor allocate funds sensibly in order that there can be money for social housing, because it's spent on ridiculous things like $30 million for a favoured union to run a quarantine hotel. I mean, you can repeat those examples again and
more
again.
than $1 billion. More than $1 billion not to build a road. Let's not forget how the Dan Andrews government, their first decision. We've run out of time again. Holly Hughes, Bronwyn Bishop, Nicholas Reece, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining me tonight. And coming up, I cross to Gympie for the latest on the floods, and Joe Biden makes a fool of himself again.